I feel like the Guardian has not done a good job at protecting my mom. As long as she has people around who are yes people, I know that she's not getting the help that she needs or getting better. She looked confused and she looked skinny.
I never knew that, so that's why Wendy Williams got fired.
Yes, because she exposed pictures of him having a homosexual affair in Mexico. But she had a website way back then.
I don't feel safe. Clap if you feel safe. Oh. Oh. Well.
So there's a shocking new development involving Diddy and Wendy Williams, and word on the street is that Diddy actually threatened to do the unthinkable to Wendy's son Kevin Jur when he was just 16. Now, if you're a longtime Wendy fan, you probably remember that infamous 2017 interview on the Wendy Williams Show where Diddy made this creepy comment about meeting her son at the time. This seemed like an innocent comment, but fast forward to now, and there's a lot more context around Diddy's pattern of targeting young men. Diddy was recently hit with new disturbing lawsuits from 3 different men who claimed they were just 9, 10, and 17 when Diddy allegedly victimized them.
New allegations against Sean Diddy Combs, and these are some of the most horrific yet. A man says he was just 10 years old when the rapper allegedly drugged and sexually assaulted him during what was supposed to be an audition, sending him back to his parents crying.
And now, on top of all this, some new reports are surfacing from the ongoing federal investigations alleging that Diddy planned to do the same horrific things to Wendy's son Kevin Jur to punish Wendy for exposing him. And if you go back to that interview and carefully watch Wendy's reaction, you can see her face change the moment Diddy mentioned her son.
As the mother in general, I mean, example to people who aren't black, like, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
But here's where this story gets even more sinister ever since that interview with Diddy. Wendy's life has taken a downward spiral. From fainting on live TV to having all her bank accounts frozen and being placed under guardianship to ultimately being diagnosed with dementia and a speech disorder, all these things happened within a span of just a few years. And how convenient is it that Wendy lost her iconic talk show just before all these Diddy allegations exploded in the headlines? Was it all just a coincidence, or was it Diddy's evil plan to push Wendy out of the spotlight before she could reveal too much? And what exactly did Wendy's son reveal about Diddy allegedly threatening him? Let's get into it.
I've got so much money. I want it for my son. I want to give some love to my son, Kevin. It's me and you, kid.
If you're an OG Wendy Williams fan, then you know her beef with Diddy goes all the way back to the 90s when Wendy was a radio host. Wendy never shied away from putting rappers on blast, and that included Diddy and the rumors about his DL lifestyle. But Wendy wasn't just talking, she had the receipts to back up her claims, and she allegedly got her hands on some photos of Diddy with another man during a trip to Cancun. However, before Wendy could even spill the tea, Diddy had her fired from her show and pretty much blacklisted her across New York, warning every radio station in the city to stay away from her.
When she put out those pictures of the dude pulling his pants down and it looked like some gay act that was going on, he got on the phone. He said, let me tell you this. When I get back to New York City, if she's on the radio station, he's talking to a radio executive. When we got back to New York City, Wendy Williams was in Philly at a new station.
Wow.
That's the power he had.
Wendy later pretty much confirmed the whole story in an interview on Vlad TV and said she was burned at the stake for talking about the number of closeted men in hip-hop.
We come from a very homosexual era of hip-hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle. There were many situations, none of which to talk about, but there were many situations back in the day in my career, and it's all coming full circle now, so.
But that's not all. An old clip recently resurfaced where Wendy claimed that Diddy actually sent a girl group signed a bad boy to ambush her at her job.
Yeah.
I remember I got off the air one day and them total were downstairs waiting, and everybody upstairs at the radio station is looking down, egging it on, waiting for something to go down. I wasn't yet married. My knight in shining armor screeched up in his car just out of nowhere. I didn't even know what was about to happen.
And then Jaguar Wright joined the chat to remind everyone that Wendy was the first one to publicly expose the so-called homo thugs in the industry. But Jaguar didn't stop there. She also went on to suggest that Diddy most likely set Wendy up just like he allegedly did with his ex Kim Porter.
Is that him or is that
Shout out to Wendy Williams, the first woman to uncover the homo thugs. That's what these down low bitches was called when Wendy first started talking about it in the 90s, the homo thug. She talking about Diddy.
And then what's the stuff that's happening with Wendy Williams? Do you think this is all connection to?
Of course. They've been waiting. He's been waiting. He was waiting for Kim. Remember? He was waiting. The casket was ready. She was literally casket ready.
But see, Wendy wasn't just gossiping about Diddy's rumored double life. She also reportedly had the inside scoop on his alleged crimes. For example, Wendy openly questioned the 99 nightclub shooting case where Diddy was accused of setting up Shine to take the fall.
He ran out of the club so fast and got into the waiting SUV that it wasn't until he got into the truck that he realized that he left Jennifer behind, along with his bodyguard, Anthony Wolf. He just, like, ran. You know, forget it. That's a true sign of an itch bag, by the way. You know, leaving his
I thought it was an unk pay.
Well, eventually, Jennifer and Wolf made their way to the SUV without Puffy.
Right.
They ran 11 lights to elude the cops. Supposedly it was Puffy, although people are saying they saw a female hand tossing a gun out the window. And then when the cops stopped them, they found a second gun, of course, in the car.
Right.
All four of the occupants, the driver, the bodyguard, Puffy, and Jennifer, were handcuffed and taken down to the precinct. And eventually, Puffy and his bodyguard, Wolf, were overheard talking about their plot to bribe the driver to take the rap for the gun. And Puffy was overheard saying, and I quote, because the prosecutor said this, "I can't go to jail, I'm Puff Daddy." Well.
And once Wendy moved from radio to TV, Diddy practically became one of her go-to topics.
Okay, he was arrested with a deadly weapon and making terroristic threats.
Wendy also didn't hold back when it came to Cassie and Diddy's relationship. She would often bring it up on her show and drop hints there was something seriously strange about that whole setup.
Cassie, 8 years wasted, no baby.
But that's not all, believe it, or not 3 whole years before Cassie finally broke free from Diddy. Wendy was already raising the alarm about Diddy's controlling behavior. So back in 2015, Cassie and Diddy were reportedly hitting a rough patch, and rumors were swirling that Cassie had to jet off to South Africa to get away from him, and Wendy actually talked about this on her show, and she even suggested that Cassie must have been terrified knowing that Diddy could track her down anywhere in the world and use his influence to cover up anything he wanted. Number 2023, and Cassie finally dropped that bombshell lawsuit against Diddy, basically confirming everything Wendy was hinting at for years. Cassie said in her lawsuit that she tried coming back in 2017, just months before Cassie finally managed to escape. Diddy actually showed up on the Wendy Williams Show, and on the surface it looked like they had finally buried the hatchet. They were laughing, joking about their past beef, and it seemed like they were all friendly again. But Diddy has been officially indicted on multiple charges. That same interview on Wendy's show feels like a completely different story. And if you really watch Diddy, it actually looks like he was silently warning Wendy to stay in her lane and not cross an eye. And then when Diddy mentioned meeting Wendy's son, Kevin Jury, you could practically feel the tension in the air. Wendy immediately got uncomfortable and tried to quickly change the topic.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Who I met backstage, he
did?
He's great young man.
Oh, thank you. You represent a lot to a lot of people in general. I mean,
people think that Diddy said this to intimidate her because, I mean, we all know Wendy knew a lot about what was going on in Hollywood. If you haven't watched this interview, I suggest you do, because I couldn't believe how much Diddy was lying throughout this entire video. He was actually dating Cassie during this time, and when he was asked about his relationship with her, he made it seem like they had a perfect relationship and that he really loved her. During this interview, she also asks him about Biggie's death and if he feels responsible, and this is what he said.
Do you ever feel responsible in any way? In any way?
I mean, the thing that I think I always feel some sort of, responsibility because I'm in this thing with him. You know what I'm saying? He's my artist, and he was supposed to go to London that night, and you know, I let him talk me into, you know, not going to London and staying in LA. And that, you know, that's something that really bothered me, you know, throughout my life. Is sometimes you have to really go with that decision in your gut. And in my gut, I was like, you need to get on the plane. But sometimes when you don't listen to your gut, you know, and this is God's world, you know, it's his plan.
But if you go and check out Gene Deal's interviews, he was Diddy's former bodyguard back in the day, and he was there when Biggie died. And he says that Diddy was responsible.
So looking at everything that happened to Wendy after this interview, it really makes you wonder, did Diddy play a role in making her health issues worse? And how did Wendy's son, Kevin Jr., react to all this speculation linking Diddy to his mom's health issues? So to give you some context, Wendy's son previously alleged that some people in Wendy's team were pushing her to drink and allegedly gave her contracts to sign while she was under the influence. In June 2023, Kevin Jr. told The Sun, if they aren't providing it, they are definitely enabling a type of personality and giving her the green light to drink. Once I heard that she was agreeing to stuff around her rehab, I thought, well, okay, they are taking advantage. Now, in case you're out of the loop on Wendy's guardianship, in January 2022, while Wendy was dealing with the fallout from her divorce from Kevin Hunter, her bank Wells Fargo froze all her accounts. The bank claimed Wendy was an incapacitated person, and they even went so far as to petition the New York Supreme Court to appoint a financial guardian for her. But then things took a twist. Wendy's lawyers spoke out and claimed that Wendy's former financial advisor, Lori Schiller, lied to Wells Fargo about.
Wendy went to Wells Fargo and said, I'm closing my accounts because I think you're colluding with my business manager to steal from me. Y'all, just stay with me. Instead of investigating these claims, one, Wells Fargo sued to gain financial conservatorship over her by calling her crazy, and they won. Do y'all not realize how crazy that is? And what does that mean for everybody else who banks with any of these big companies?
According to Wendy's lawyer, Wendy previously fired Lori Schiller due to improper conduct, and Schiller wanted to get revenge on Wendy, and she allegedly started providing Wells Fargo with fake evidence that Wendy was in desperate need of a guardian. That's when Wendy's lawyer asked for a temporary restraining order against Wells Fargo, claiming that the bank was interfering with Wendy's right to access her financial assets. And then Wendy also spoke out and called out Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo, accusing them of unlawfully blocking her from accessing her money.
And when I began asking questions about my money, suddenly Lori Schiller has got no response regarding my money. I want my money. This is not fair. And Wells Fargo has no questions and answers with regarding my money. This is not fair. And Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo have this guardianship petition about keeping me away from my money. This is not right.
However, in December 2022, the court sided with Wells Fargo and appointed attorney Sabrina Morrissey as Wendy's financial guardian. Now here's where things get even more sketchy. The first thing Sabrina did was to cut off Wendy's only child, Kevin Jr., despite Wendy previously making it clear that she wanted all her money to go to her son.
We have the best time. When I die, everything is for him.